Oh boy, hello, I made it. And I'm at St. Cecilia's Cathedral, because I'm here. Anyways, time for my political life video blog, part two. And of course, have you heard this before? Fidel Castro. I'll show you this guy. Oh, I know he's a dictator. Who knows? According to USA Today, because as this OSC rehearsal is over with, says I pick up USA Today's USA Today yesterday because no morning in Miami. People are reacted to the news of the death of a former Cuban president Fidel Castro as they gathered outside the restaurant in Miami last Sunday. And that's why he died at the age of 90 last Friday. After Thanksgiving is over with. You know what I'm saying? You just had to trust me about that. After Thanksgiving Day is over with. And here's why I don't understand. This is why is so because everybody knows, according to this one from the blaze.com, it says that college students are asked who's better, Trump or Castro. Well, I have no clue. Because American university students were asked on a video who were more viewable favorably that finally dead Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. Who's better, Castro or Trump? I have no clue. Quote this: given the rapid praise of some of the left, as lavish, good, following the murderous demise. The way your garden variety college students knows about a question will be a surprise. Nice. This is the worst. I'll show you. This is what happens. College dictators. College students. So, this is why I want to know. Who's better, Trump or whatever it is? Because, well, guess what? Hat tip to campus reform. So, okay, let's flash back for a moment. Shall we? Flashback this. Here's your worst nightmare. This one. So let's talk about Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's ridden grandmother's emotional response when everybody learns that Fidel Castro is yes, Fidel Castro is dead. What do you think about this? This is what I'm talking about. Oh, this is from the blaze.com. Look at this guy. This guy's 90 years old. And you're old because who led an army to a improbable victory in Cuba more than 50 years, embracing the Soviet-style communism and defiled the power of 10 U.S. residents during this half-century ruled. And with his shaking voice, President Castro, said on state television that his older brother just died in a slogan. In a revolutionary slogan says, "Toward victory always." Always. Because I'm not going to read all of it. because I'm not going to read all of this because everybody knows I know. It says Unleash Music. You have to read what Fidel Castro says. He's a hero. No. He's a stupid dictator. Wrong. Think again. He's a stupid, idiotic dictator. You know why? Because everybody deserves this. Long enough. Enough. Whether socialism, and or death to democracy. And that is why because the westernization, living in the world of democracy, has been swept the globe, and other communist regimes has, China and Vietnam embracing this capitalism, and could be try to leave this whole island. 11 million people are dead, being crippled. Marxist curiosity. Let's see. Take us back in time. Flashback. Back in December 2014, President Obama says this in Washington. And because life happens in a letter after a month-long silence. This is what happens. It says, Fidel? Silence. Well, I guess you have no clue whatsoever. Now, here are your ridiculous, yes, you guessed it, ridiculous, stupid comments from President Obama. Because here's your worst nightmare. This is gonna be worse. Let's see. Josh Earnest says this. Obviously, so much of the diplomatic relationships with Cuba is quite complicated. You wish, Mr. Earnest. You don't know everything, haven't you? Oh boy. According to this, and here it is. Mr. President has, sent condolences to President Obama to send Fidel Castro to funerals. I have no observation whatsoever. But there's more. Let's see. Don't worry, get inside this. Here it is. Here's yesterday. Yesterday, in the wake of Cuban dictator Fidel Castro's death, and here's your worst nightmare. Obama and Biden will be skipping Fidel Castro's funeral. Oh, ain't that a trip? Why these two are skipping like rams? Well, guess what? President Obama gave him diplomatic response. Quote this: condolences to Fidel Castro's family, and our thoughts and prayers are with a Cuban. Oh God, this guy makes me sick. This makes me sick to my darn stomach. Oh, yes, there's more. Here it is. Your worst nightmare. Here it is. Yes. You might think it's so smart, President, but if there's more, this may have relented to the decision of Mr. President and Vice President Joe Biden are skipping funerals to Castro's funeral for. See what I tell you? This is your worst nightmare ever. Seriously, this is your worst nightmare ever. Why in heavens and earth did Obama and Biden skip like this? Here's why. You don't know, and here's why I hate to break this to a closing thought of my final point is this. Why you, President Obama, sitting there and do nothing for the next 88 years, you had to pay a visit to Cuba. And you might think you're so smart you did that lambasted for taking a huge picture of this Marxist. What about, you guessed it? What about this? Here's your worst nightmare. If you watch ESPN's First Take or FS1's Undisputed about Fidel Castro's death and why he's calling Kaepernick, yeah, he's back in the news again, do something very, 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 very harsh. Wearing a Fidel Castro t-shirt. And you might think that Skip and Shannon Sharp has a point to this one, or should we say Stephen A. Smith has a point to this one? What about Skip Bayless or Max Kellerman or whatever happens? Well, you be a judge for this one, so who knows? So, the moral story is this. If you might think you're so smart about, Fidel Castro's death at a time like this, may I suggest one other observation as we close this thing out. Two things. 2 or 3 things. 3 things. If Cuba, quote this from Mr. Trump, says, if Cuba is unwilling to make a better deal for the Cuban people, well, guess what? The Cuban American people and the U.S. as a whole, I will terminate the deal. Donald Trump is right. I have no observation whatsoever. However, calling Kaepernick just, yeah. I wonder, who knows? I wonder if Black Lives Matter knows. I wonder what Black Lives Matter protesters knows about this. This is why I'll leave you with this. Ted Cruz is right. Ted Cruz is making this clear as possibly as he can. And he doesn't want President Obama to send any U.S. representatives to Cuban dictator Fidel Castro's funeral. And quote this, I very much hope that we don't see any U.S. government officials to Fidel Castro's funeral. And I hope we don't see President Obama and Mr. Biden, what about Hillary Clinton? Yes, she's a stupid sore loser, and the rest of the Democrats would be lining up to lionize a murderous tyrant and a thug. The moral of my political life story is this: never trust Mr. President or Black Lives Matter or Colin Kaepernick ever again to live and see Fidel Castro's death. I know he's 90 years old, so what's the point? Anyways, part 3 is up for grabs tomorrow. And that's my political life story. And I'm sticking to it completely.